Taoiseach, this country is made up of a lot of SMEs. In fact, I think there's 23,000 SMEs that employ between 9 to 44 or 5 people, and there's a huge amount of SMEs that employ larger amounts of people. Especially for the smaller ones, Taoiseach, in relation to carrying out their day-to-day works, and especially in the housing side of it, in groundworks and in machinery side of it, a lot of the people, they have to go and price the job. They look after the workers, and it's generally small setup that they're trying to do their best. Price the job, get the materials, put in the machinery, and basically make sure that their workers are looked after and put in wages and all of that. But of late, it seems to be getting harder and harder for smaller businesses in this country to survive. I note in the last week, to even get qualified in Irish Water, even if you work for county councils, you cannot get qualified unless you've done 3 jobs where Irish Water were. Now that is absolutely crazy. But to go back to what I'm on about, of late there's a thing for people from the country that drive to Dublin to build the houses, or drive to any of the large cities. If you go over a certain distance, there's subsistence that companies pay, or private operators, and there is what we would call country money. And revenue are changing the goalposts. And it isn't that any of these people want to ever do anything wrong. They're changing the goalposts that before you pay it now, that you would have to be informing revenue. That's more paperwork, because what you have to understand is that these people don't have a dedicated section in their business. This is what I would call a small family-sized business that may be a husband and wife, that price the work, that look after the employees, that deal with the person they're doing the work for, and at night then they're trying to do paperwork. Now they're going to be asked before they give the money, and I guess it's seeable every 6 months or every year when you do your accounts, that you give out the country money or the subsistence. It's there in black and white. But they want you now to go forward and put this in every week before you even give it to them, say where they are and what they were at. And this is adding another layer to people that are actually struggling, and people that are actually doing a lot of work in this country that's not recognised. And on top of that, there is now a consultative document out by Revenue that in relation to VAT, because you pay your VAT maybe every 2 months, every 6 months is what most businesses do. But now there's a consultative document out that's stating that as part of it, that every time that someone pays you, that you tell Revenue you got your VAT in. Now we're going to be constantly, these people will be constantly on a computer trying to comply with rules and regulations, and it's going to drive people away of setting up small businesses. And I am asking you, will you, along with your government, talk to the ministers and get a bit of common sense into this for the sake of small businesses surviving?
Thank you, Taoiseach.
Matter, and at the outset I want to concur with you about the importance of small and medium enterprises in Ireland. If you take all of our small businesses together, they employ more people than work in the public sector and the entire multinational sector combined, and of course employ people in every town and village and parish in the country. And we do appreciate that costs are rising for business. That's why Mr Coveney got approval this week for his €250 million package to help SMEs with their rising costs, and also that the administrative burden for small businesses can be a great one, because they can't hire as many admin staff, don't have a HR department in the way a big company would, for example, or an accounts department. In relation to the specific matter the Deputy raises, the Finance Act of 2022 provides for new requirements under which employers must report to Revenue on or before they provide certain non-taxable benefits to their employees or directors. These are the small benefit exemption, the remote working daily allowance, and the travel and subsistence payments. Employers are already required to determine the tax treatment of such benefits before providing them to their employees or directors. For compliance purposes, they were also required to record and maintain information which supports that determination for instance demonstrating that the benefit meets the specific conditions of the relevant tax exemption. While the new reporting requirements have not yet been brought into effect, it is intended they will be in place for the 1st of January. The time period between enactment and commencement is designed to allow sufficient time for revenue to undertake stakeholder engagement and ensure successful implementation. To date, the stakeholder engagement process included issuing a survey to employers and their agents, considering submissions by practitioners and representative bodies, developing technical guidance for software providers, and scheduling a series of webinars for employers and their agents. Revenue will continue to issue guidance on the reporting requirements and participate in other industry events in the coming months. As with any change in established procedure, there is likely to be a bedding-in period where stakeholders will need to adapt to the new procedures. I'm assured that Revenue has incorporated information gained from stakeholder engagement into the development of the enhanced reporting regime, so as to ensure that the mechanisms and processes will not be overly onerous and that employers will have a variety of mechanisms by which they can make their return.
Taoiseach, Deputy Fitzmaurice.
Said a few words there. A survey. A survey. What will a survey do to a small business that's trying to do everything of, say, 4 or 5 people, and one at the head of it or 2 at the head of it, trying to make sure that everything is right? What the other word you used is software. We're back. Grand. If you have a HR department, you'll have someone dedicated to all of that. You talk about, and yes, Minister Coveney in Trade and Enterprise, yes, there is certain helps there. But at the end of the day, the people that I am talking about are the small businesses, the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 that are trying to do everything themselves to survive. And if Revenue keep putting the likes of this in, these are the small people that do the groundworks on the building site for the big guys. These are the small people that might do the water main for the county council one time ago, or for a group water scheme. These are the small people that don't have big enough of a turnover for this procurement set up that you have to go by now in most aspects of Ireland, or you're kicked out. You won't even get on the list of suppliers. But what we must remember is, these are the people that get up early in the morning and do the bread and butter work to keep Ireland ticking over. And what the Finance Act is doing is putting more pressure on these, that some of them will just say, it's not worth it, because there's only so many hours in a day. There's only so much you can do. And why would you even bother if you're being pushed out of business?
Thanks very much, Deputy. As is often the case when it comes to a new set of rules or a new set of regulations, there can be a bedding-in period. And once they're in place for a few months, very often they work well and people's concerns are allayed. But that is not always the case, and we have to be flexible and mindful of these things and sometimes make changes if they need to be made. With that in mind, the Department of Finance will continue to monitor this matter as Revenue continues to engage with stakeholders. As it currently stands, there are no plans to deviate from the commencement of the enhanced reporting requirements from the 1st of January. Minister Coveney, who's sat beside me here, has a particular remit for business and is aware of the matter, as is Minister McGrath, and will certainly monitor the situation and make sure that this happens as seamlessly as possible.
Taoiseach.